I don't know, my menstrual cycle. Why are you asking me that? I'm 80 years old. Lady, I haven't had a menstrual cycle in 40 years. What do you care? Because that tells me something. That's why I care. That little pearl might be the information that I need to figure out the underlying issue that's been present for 50 years, 60 years.
Right.
And I would, if I didn't ask, I wouldn't know, right? So I ask because I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
You know that book I refer to a lot, the 4 Agreements?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the 4 agreements is to not take things personally.
That's hard.
But
so
boy,
hard.
once you learn to live it, you don't read things into people's comments anymore.
Not only that, but when you don't read into people's comments like that, you kind of take yourself off the hook for being the condition that makes them happy or not.
Right.
And they take you off the hook for being that condition that makes them happy or not. And we talked a lot about unconditional love and unconditional living and living happily and joyous regardless of the conditions that are surrounding you. And that's very hard. But you know what it takes? It takes focus and it takes clarity.
Right. It can't be done.
It's the same stuff that hearing accurately takes.
Right.
It's the same thing. So, and it can be done. And so if somebody's making you mad, you made me mad. No.
You made yourself mad.
Yeah, I made myself mad because whatever condition that you were putting into my life experience, I was irritated by, and I decided to focus on that and get irritated. Or I could have just said, my life's going to go on regardless.
Right.
Whether or not you agree with me, whether or not you do this or not, I don't really care because I love you anyway, and I'm going to be happy.
Right.
So,
right. Very good.
and that's tough.
It is. It is. It's tough because we have to unlearn so much stuff to get to that point.
Right, because what did our parents teach us?
You better listen to me.
You better listen to me. I'm right, you're wrong. You got to listen.
Don't argue with me. Exactly. Children should be seen and not heard. Right. And that's why there's so much hope for these next generations because they have less to unlearn, hopefully.
I want to talk about Sean right now. I just really, it's on my heart to talk about Sean, my middle son. He moved out at New Year's. He's almost 19. It's okay. He moved out.
It was time.
He wanted to see how he could do it on his own, but we had been fighting. I mean, we were like butting heads and like nothing was, he's like, and Patrick and I have all these expectations and all these, wonderful aspirations for our children. And we want them to have the same expectations and aspirations for themselves. But they don't. They don't have the same ones that we have for them. They may have some. They may have some goals, but they don't have the exact same goals, aspirations, and expectations that we have. So we try to impose that upon them, right? I'm like, if only you would do this, your life would get better. If only you would see that mom and dad know. We know what you should do. You should do this because your life would be so much better. We know. And we were beating ourselves in the head. I mean, because this kid, he does not want anything to do with what we want for him. He wants what he wants.
Which is good,
Which is good, right. But here, me and Patrick are miserable. We were miserable. We were plumb miserable for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, because this kid, we're like, why can't this kid just listen? Just hear us and agree. Right? That's the kicker. We wanted him to agree. So then he moved out. And he's been doing exactly the same thing for himself that he was doing when he was at my house, but I don't care. I don't care. And the reason I don't care is because I choose not to focus on the fact that he's doing something other than what I want him to do. And what I'm focusing on, what I'm choosing to focus on, is that, wow, he's doing it his way and he's not shriveling up in a corner dying of starvation. He's doing it his way and he's actually he seems to be happier. Wow. Isn't that amazing? his way is working out for him. Wow.
Just like your way works out for you.
Right. And if I had not allowed him to go out and be that, I could still be like, one day you're going to regret this. One day you're going to come back and you're going to tell mom and dad how smart we were. And one day you're going to learn. Well, I don't need any of that. Mm-mm. You know what I need? I need my son to be happy. Mm-hmm. That's all I need. Mm-hmm. So we had to learn how to not put that condition on him. Look, if you're going to talk, come over here and talk.
Well, I'll turn his mic on.
Turn his dang old mic on. Put your things on. My baby has something to say, so everybody bear with us here. We're getting him set up.
I just simply said that, it's a matter of communication. And, rather than to allow him to add misery to our lives, we decided to step back and allow him to live his life as he sees fit.
As he sees fit.
Yeah,
That's
and we
huge.
were only miserable because he wasn't agreeing with us.
Right.
That's the only reason I was miserable. Because he's okay.
Right.
He's not starving. He's not homeless. He figured it out. He's staying with his friend and he's, they're doing whatever. They're fine. He's fine. It's not what I would have chosen for him, but it doesn't have to be.
Years ago, I think I told you this once, but I'm going to tell you again.
Please do.
I was a single mom, and I was having a very hard time with my boys doing their chores. And it was important that they did them because when I got home, I wanted quality time to spend with them. I didn't want to be yelling, "You didn't do your chores."
Right.
Because I don't like that. So I was at this conference, and it was really bothering me because it had been going on for a while. And it was like I felt like I was yelling at them all the time, and I didn't want to be that person.
Right.
So I'm at this
conference.
conference.
Making you miserable.
Right. And this real estate coach said to me, what's holding you back? And I told him, I said, I want things to be happy at home, and they're not. Really, that was my problem. It wasn't my business. My problem was I wanted things to be happy at home. We had gone through the divorce together, came out of that, and now I had these
But
two.
I'm sure you were analyzing if I could spend more time with
Right.
them, if I could do this, if I could
if
do
they
that.
could do that, then I would be right.
Conditional living.
Right. So he said, well, what's the problem? I told him they're not doing. He goes, who picks their chores? And I said, well, I do. I assign the chores. I'm in charge. I didn't say that, but in my mind, I'm the mom.
Right.
And he said, here's what you do. When you go home, you sit down at the dining room table and you talk about what's important to them, what they like doing.
What?
Yeah. And I went, oh, I never thought of that.
Foreign.
That's not how my parents picked
It was
my chores.
It was a dictatorship
I
in my
had to
house.
do this stuff before I left the house on Saturdays. These things had to be done.
Right.
It didn't matter if I was crying doing them.
Right.
They had to be done. So I was putting that same thing on those kids. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and they picked their chores, and it was ones that I would not have chosen. I never realized that Errol hated when the bathroom was dirty. Mike was cleaning the bathroom because he was younger. Mm-hmm. It was an easier thing. And Mike loved the kitchen. He wanted to be the one starting the dinner. Mm-hmm. And mopping the floor
but
in
he
there.
Was the
and
younger
clean,
one.
But he was the younger one, so it never dawned on me.
Right.
Once they did that, and we went around the table, and I wrote down all the chores, and we put down an initial by which chores, we would take. And everybody had one that maybe they didn't like, but all these other ones they did care about. And it did I never had to argue with them again.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Mm-hmm. And what respect you showed them. See, that's the other thing. People feel when you dictate to them that they have absolutely no respect.
That's true, right.
That they are down here, you're up here, you're setting the rules, you're setting the laws, you're telling them what they got to do.
And I'm telling them how to make me happy.
Yeah, and they're just bucking up like, well, screw you. This
right.
But when you go down and you say to them, look, Mom loves you so much, and I don't want to fight with you, and I care about what you think, and I need your input on this. What do you think? What would be better? they're like, first of all, they were probably taken
What'd
aback.
you do with
like,
my mother?
Yeah, like what? Aliens or something have infiltrated, but it's about showing respect
and letting
children
them
deserve
be
that.
them.
Yes, children deserve that. They're little humans.
So it's kind of the same thing that you had to do.
It is. It's unconditional living. Okay, we talked about unconditional love, but unconditional living is saying, I don't care what you're doing or saying or arguing with me about. I still love you. And yeah, that's your deal. And it irritates me you're not agreeing, but I still love you. And I respect you enough to say, well, you're not some dumb pup. You're smart enough.
And
I raised you. You're
right.
smart enough. You know what you want to do.
And that they have to do what's best for them, not what's best for you.
Isn't that what we want to teach them? We want to teach them to do what's best for them. And yet we tell them, you can't do that. You got to do what's best for me. You know, that makes no sense.
No.
So listening, again, listening,
Right.
hearing, focusing.
Well, if what you're saying is important, then isn't what you're hearing just as important?
Oh, shoot. Write that down. Write that down.
It's like
That's
a universal
Patrickism.
truth.
That was brilliant.
Say that again,
Say
Patrick.
it again.
I'm just saying that if what you're saying is important, then what you're hearing is just as important.
Absolutely. I agree. 100%.
And you have to make sure that you're hearing truly what the other person is saying.
And reacting non-emotionally. We don't have to have emotions attached to communicate. We can react without an emotion attachment to it. I can, and I know it was hard for me to learn it, but I worked on it, and I did do it. I figured it out. I don't have to get angry because you don't agree with me.
And it is hard, but I'll tell you, once you learn that detachment and not to read more into it, that is being detached, your life changes.
It's so freeing.
Yes.
It really is so freeing. Because things that I used to worry about, like, oh, this is going to make them mad. Oh, I'm running an hour late getting home from work. Dinner's going to be late. Oh, they're going to be upset.
They don't care, do they?
They really don't. It
Whatever.
was me putting it on
Right,
me going,
right.
oh, I'm the one that's upset because we're eating late. They didn't care. They're like, food. They don't care what time of night. They're going to eat it, you know. They didn't care. So I quit putting that on them and saying, well, you know.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And I quit making that condition, like, I quit guilting myself into thinking that my condition was going to create for them a negative evening. Right?
Probably what would have created the negative evening is you walking in the door going, ah!
And that happened over and
Right.
over and over
Instead
and over,
of,
and over until I learned
hi,
this.
guys, I'm going to start dinner now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even better, nowadays, I'll get home, I'll be like, man, I'm late. I'm like, hey, boys, come in here and help.
Right.
So we can get this rolling.
Or
And
you
they're
could
like,
call
okay,
ahead
Mom.
and say, hey, I'm going to be late. Why don't you guys order a pizza?
Right. And I've done that too. But the communication and the fact that I'm allowing these things to just occur without putting an emotional attachment on it to say, well, because I'm late, now they're going to have a crappy evening. Now they're going to have bad night's sleep because they had to eat so late. Now,
So let's talk about what living like that does to your body.
letting go and being, is that what you're talking about? Living the right way and not being conditionally reactive to everything around you and listening. And
Physiologically,
hearing.
what does that do
Doesn't
for you?
it sound better just to talk that way?
It does.
Like if I...
It makes you relax just a little bit more. It makes your heart rate slow down.
It changes your metabolism.
Right.
It does. It changes your vibration.
Right.
Right.
So if you're having digestive problems, or if you're holding weight or holding water, if you change these simple things in your life, you know, all that negativity drains from your body and you don't have all these negative effects from it.
Ooh, that reminds me of something. That is perfect. And that reminds me of something. I have had the occasional patient who has a burping issue. Like they burp.
Really? I've never heard of that. That's really funny.
Burp, yeah. And it's a really weird thing, and it really screws with people. And as long as it's not like sometimes...
Not hiccups.
No, burping. And it could be... And then people get